Hello, 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 guys. This is Tamara T. Bush coming to you with the topic today that I wanted to address because I saw. Well, first, let me say shout out to my brother in writing, Jen. Made a post on Facebook earlier today. Actually, yeah, earlier this afternoon. So, breaking news: Chase Bank just announced a temporary increase in requirements starting Tuesday. For new mortgages, you must have a credit score of 700 plus and a 20% down payment to apply. Many other lenders are expected to follow: Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, etc. Ultimately, with big corporations feeling the squeeze, banks across the board are tightening up their requirements to limit their risk. This just became a buyer's market. Now, I'm talking about how to make good use of our time throughout this whole ordeal. And with different articles surfacing regarding credit, I felt the need to hop on and just give a quick credit tip that you could use to dispute and clean up certain things that are appearing on your credit and letters that you're receiving specifically from collection agencies, right? Hold on a second, guys. So I'm not going to be on camera today because I have so many things going on. So I'm just going to share my screen, and I'm going to look and see if you guys have anything going on in the chat. So just bear with me, okay, guys? Bear with me. Okay. Okay. Right. So think back to 2008 during the mortgage crisis. A lot of financial institutions received bailouts from the government. So in this particular situation, things are really reversed. Big businesses and big corporations may not be receiving the bailouts that they anticipated. So now the money is sort of trickling down to the regular everyday consumer. Okay. So my take on all of this is that during this time, get your finances in order, get your credit in order, because we don't know exactly what the market is going to be looking like at the end of the year going into 2021. And keep in mind, and I don't know if you guys know this, I only know this because I'm working on a project. The interest rate model that we're used to seeing that's been in existence for many, many, many years is going to be changing, right? So if you guys are not familiar with the LIBOR index that is created by the biggest banks coming out of London, they dictate the daily interest rates that lenders are using to offer you products, right? So car loans, mortgages, student loans, personal loans, secured loans, unsecured loans, any type of product that is going to yield an interest rate is what this transition is going to affect. So we're actually going to be going into a brand new rate model system, going into 2021 and the end of 2021 going into 2022. So any lender that has a product, be it, a mortgage product or, credit card product, any lenders that are involved in any type of trading activity, capital markets, interest rate swaps, derivative swaps. These lenders are having to do a major adjustment and shift because the model rate system is changing across the board. So you guys can just, look it up, Google LIBOR, LIBOR. LIBOR is the rate system that is going away. SOFR is coming in. So you guys can do your own research to sort of learn about that. But in knowing that the rates are going to change, we don't know how that's going to impact us at our front door, right? So new products primarily are going to be affected by this shift. It may or may not necessarily be any type of existing products. It may not be existing products. There may be some type of adjustment made on the books for existing products, but the main focus is going to be new products that these banks are offering after the transition from LIBOR to SOFR, right? So there's a lot of different things that are coming into play with the whole COVID-19. And now we're seeing these types of articles begin to surface that banks are making the requirements more strict in order for you to obtain a mortgage. And it's like when you begin to see these articles, there's going to be more and more financial institutions that are taking suit to this new model. So the requirements for basic, things that we apply for are going to become a lot more strict. So higher credit scores, higher down payments. So this is something that's going to affect you at your front door. So what we should be doing during this time is taking the necessary steps to get our credit in order, right? Okay, so with that being said, I just want to cover a topic that's going to basically give you some insight as to how you can address but if you're being pursued by a collection agency that is out of state, because that happens all the time. Companies are buying debt. Individuals are going into debt collection. They're purchasing large portfolios of debt. They may be in your state. They may not be in your state. There's a lot of collection agencies out there that are trying to collect debt across state lines. So one of the strategies that I use for my clients when performing credit repair and they're receiving a collection letter from a company that is reporting on their credit report, this is one of the strategies that I use, and I've been using this strategy since 2010 and 2011 because it still works, right? Now, I'm just going to pull up a sample. Let's see, this is it. Okay, so this is just a sample. I went on the internet and I Googled a sample collection letter because obviously I can't show you guys a real letter. So this is just a sample collection letter that I Googled online. And the reason why I chose this particular one is because the client's city and state shows San Diego, California, whereas the collection agency, Bonded Collectors LLC, is showing Largo, Florida. So this is a collection agency that is trying to collect debt across state lines, right? So the first thing that I see before we even get to the issue of do I owe the money or do I not owe the money, the first thing that stands out to me is the difference in the city and the state between the client and the debt collection company. So we have to address that before we can even get into the issue of money and this alleged account, because everything is alleged until the company can provide substantiated proof that you actually owe the money. Okay. They have to be able to provide substantiated proof. So what I would typically do, the very, very first thing that I would do is when I see a letter like this, I immediately say to myself, okay, and we'll just use this letter as an example. I live in California. This company is out of Florida. Does this company have legal standing to sue me in the state that I'm domiciled, right? Do they have legal standing to sue? Because at the end of the day, when you really think about collection letters and companies that are coming after you, yes, they can report things to your credit report, but ultimately I've seen people be garnished. I've seen people be taken to court for debt that companies are saying that they owe. And just because the consumer doesn't have the proper information, they don't necessarily know how to fight back. A lot of people are blindsided by garnishments. They're blindsided by court documents for two reasons: because they don't have the proper information or they ignore the letter. And it gets to basically the last point of no return. The next thing you know, some company is filing something against you because you just simply didn't respond, or you didn't know how to respond, or you didn't necessarily seek the help that you needed to facilitate the proper response, right? So that's what a lot of people are dealing with. So the first thing that I would do when I'm looking at this collection letter is I would hop over to the Florida Secretary, or not the Florida, the California Secretary of State, right? Because if I live in California and a company is coming after me in California, I need to know if they have legal standing to sue me in California. I'm not going to look in Florida because the company's in Florida. I don't live in Florida. I'm going to look in the state that I live in because this debt is bound by the laws of the state that I reside in, not the laws of the state that the collection agency resides in, but the laws of the state that I actually reside in. Okay. So I already pulled it up. Now, guys, just keep this in mind. Anytime that a company files for articles of incorporation or LLC organization, it's public record. So as long as you have the name of the company, you can hop over to the Secretary of State website, plug that company in, and you can actually see the company. You can see the name, the address, some of the officers, if they choose to put that information on there, depending on the type of entity that they filed. You can see the registered agent. The registered agent is, and I explained this a little bit in one of my other live videos that I did. So the registered agent is the entity that has to be available Monday through Friday during business hours to receive legal documentation and other correspondence for that company. Okay, so again, the client, this is the client's name. They have it blacked out, but you can see clearly that they're in San Diego, California. So I went over to the California Secretary of State website, and I'll just back it up so you guys can see exactly what I did. Okay, so this is the business search page, and that's really all you're doing. So if you live in New York, you would go to the New York Secretary of State website and look for a business search. And if you live in California, or I'm sorry, North Carolina, you would go to the North Carolina Secretary of State and do a business search. This holds true for any state within the United States. You should be able to go to the Secretary of State website, put in the company's name, and see information about that company. You should be able to see information about that company. All right. Yeah, so every website is going to be a little bit different. They're not all going to look the same, but they will have a search field or a search box that you can actually type the information in. So let me just go back because I want to make sure that I have the correct name. So it's Bonded Collectors. So you don't have to type out the entire name. You can just type out a portion of the name and it should pull it in because it's considered a keyword. So if I go back and I search for this company named Bonded Collectors, because that's what the letter says, right? Bonded Collectors. Bonded Collectors. You don't even have to put in the LLC because you've already designated the type of company as the search type. Bonded Collectors. Keyword. You can do it as exact. Nothing's coming up. So we've done it as a keyword. We've done it as exact. And let's do it with begins with. Because we want to make sure with absolute certainty that this company has legal standing to sue in the domiciled state of the consumer. And as you can see, there's nothing comes up for this company. So this person, the first thing that they need to put when they're responding to this collections letter is they're going to want to say, hey, first of all, in order for us to even communicate, I'm going to need you to send me a copy of your corporate charter. I need for you to send me evidence of your legal standing to sue in the state of California. Now, the beautiful thing about the uh, the F, the FDCPA, which is the laws that govern collection agencies. The good news is that it works in our favor, to a certain degree, because everything that we put on that response, line by line, that company has to respond to. So if we dispute the name of the company, if we dispute that they actually have a mailing address at Post Office Box 107, Largo, Florida, it's not just about disputing the debt. You have to dispute the company's existence. I had a client, and this is so funny. I had a client that I worked on back in 2011 who was being pursued by a collection agency. This was a student loan collection agency, and this collection agency was collecting on behalf of um, the New York State Department of Education, I believe. And the way that I wrote up the dispute letter, and they still have 30 days, you still have to give them 30 days. But the way that I drafted that letter, the company responded back and said that they had sent the debt back to the original creditor. They didn't even want to deal with us anymore. That's how much we put them on blast when we wrote that letter. Because in essence, when you're dealing with collection agencies, you have to deal with issues of duplicate reporting. You may have the collection agency on your credit report. You may still have the original creditor on your credit report. There's different issues there that's going to warrant you to know that you should not be dealing with a collection agency. You should always try to deal with the original creditor, even if they sold the debt. You have to keep hammering away at them to get them to pull the debt back, which is going to be in your favor, and then you can sort of work it out that way. But if the collection agency does not have legal standing to sue, then why are you talking to me? Why are you sending me letters? Why are you calling me? Why? Why? So this strategy, if you send out the letter, you say, hey, send me a copy of your corporate charter, send me evidence that you have legal standing to sue. You have X amount of days to provide this information that I'm asking for. Now, of course, you're going to say a bunch of other things in that letter. You're still going to dispute the debt. You're still going to dispute, the creditor, the account number, the balance, because at this point, everything is alleged, right? Everything is alleged. Everything is alleged. And I just have to keep repeating that. And you have to sort of read between the lines with what I'm saying. Everything is considered alleged, okay? If the time frame passes and that collection agency does not respond to every single line item dispute that you put on that letter, they're in default. Now, let me rewind. When we receive letters from collection agencies, if we don't respond within the time frame allotted, then the collector wins. The collection agency wins because, in essence, when we don't respond, we acquiesce, we agree to whatever it is that they put in that letter. And this is how people are blindsided by default judgments. Default judgments means, you didn't respond, you didn't do anything. So by default, the court awarded the judgment to the collection agency because the consumer never responded. They never engaged the agency. They never disputed. So silence is acquiescence. Please remember that. So when you're receiving collection letters in the mail, you cannot ignore them because it's going to come back to bite you in the end. It will come back to bite you. Okay, so when you're responding to these collection agencies, dispute everything. Take the letter and break it down into sections, right? You're disputing the name. You're disputing the telephone number. You are disputing everything because at the end of the day, you don't know who's behind this company. You don't know if this is just Joe Schmo sitting down in their basement. They brought a small portfolio of debt. They didn't file the proper paperwork with their state to be in business. They don't have legal standing to sue. You have to dispute every single thing on that letter. Everything. Dispute everything. Do it in sections. First, you're dealing with the company. Then you're dealing with the debt. Then you're going to deal with whatever is in this paragraph, right? In this particular letter, they said that you have 30 days. Take your 30 days. Take your 30 days, but make sure that that response is postmarked within the 30 days. Now, back to my original point, if for some reason the collection agency does not respond within the time frame that you provided, they're in default. If that time frame passes and you don't receive a response, you send out a second letter giving them an additional time frame to respond, right? Because they're still in default. The third letter that you're going to send out to them saying, listen, we gave you a chance to respond on the first letter, you didn't respond. We gave you a chance to respond on the second letter, you did not respond. So the third letter, you're actually going to place the collection agency in default. Think of it this way, whatever rules apply to you, it applies to the collection agency as well. You know, people or companies like to say, oh, well, you defaulted on your loan, you're defaulted on this agreement. You can also put these companies in default. So when you place the company in default, you send them out the last letter, they don't respond, and the additional time frame that you provided them has passed, and they still had not responded, or they did respond, but they didn't answer every single point that you had disputed on your initial letter, they're still in default. They're still in default. So what you do is if their response is inadequate or they simply do not respond, you take all of your paperwork from the letter that you received from the collection agency, the first letter that you sent out with your mail stamps, the second letter that you sent out with your mail stamps, because when you're responding to these agencies, you need to make sure that every letter that you sent out is sent certified mail with return receipt, because you need to show that they received it and they signed for it. So when they respond, when you send your letters out, you make sure that you have copies of each letter along with your certified mail slip, your return receipt. You take everything and you package it up and you do an affidavit, and you take everything down to the Register of Deeds office and you get it recorded. Once it's recorded, you get your certified copy, you take it to the courthouse and you file for your default judgment. That's the process, okay? File for your default judgment. Once you file for your default judgment, the judge grants you your default judgment. You then take that entire package and you mail it to the credit bureaus and you say, you know what? They didn't respond. I received my default judgment. Please remove this item from my credit report. Boom. It's gone forever. It's gone forever. It's gone forever. That, my people, is how you get rid of a collection agency. So there are strategies that we can do. There are different things that you can do and make good use of your time while you're in quarantine, okay? You know, if you know how to do it yourself, that's great. If you don't feel confident in what it is that you're doing, seek a professional that can walk you through this process and get the work done. But it is very important, excuse me. It's very important that we, you know, take the necessary time to work on our credit. Boom, it's gone forever. Yep, I'm sorry guys, I had to just tune into my Facebook because I'm trying to see the chat. And my chat, I'm streaming, so my chat isn't uploading. So I apologize in advance for anyone that is, actually, let me see this. I should still be able to look at it. Oh, you're welcome, Commendable K. You are very welcome. Thank you, guys. Thank you. But this is a very basic strategy, and it does work. This is a proven method. I've used it multiple times, and it works. The companies are just as scared as you. So when you begin to ask for the company documentation, they're like, wait a minute, why are you asking for this? We're just talking about this, you know, this $3,021.50 that we know that you owe. Oh, no. Before we can even get to the issue of money, I need to know who you are. And until you prove to me who you are, you don't have any business with me. You don't have any business with me. All right, so keep that in mind. Guys, be confident in how you're operating. Take the necessary time to work on your credit. Take the necessary time because we don't know what is going to happen and how this issue is going to change the economy and create a new normal. Okay, we already see that lending requirements are changing for some banks. They're becoming more strict. There's a lot of people out here right now that have 300, 400, and 500 credit scores. So if you're looking to build a legacy for your future, if you're looking towards ownership, because ownership is key. Ownership and knowing how to make good use of your time, money, and credit is the only thing that is going to get us a seat at the table when important issues come up in our community. If we don't have a seat at the table, we don't have a voice. We're invisible. Time, money, and credit is what we need to focus on. All right, so I'm not going to keep you guys long. I just wanted to cover this really quick. You guys can take it and you can run with it. If you don't feel confident about it, then just go ahead and go to the website, book a consult. We'd love to do a free credit analysis for you. Free credit analysis we're offering through the entire month of April. If you want to book a consult that's not credit related, our consults for the month of April is only $10. All right, so you guys make it a great day. Thank you so much for joining. And I just wanted to bring you a really quick credit tip that we could focus on during our downtime. All right, you guys have a great evening and I will see you soon.